The Stopover. In this novel, the main character's life appears to be perfect until she is torn between her connection to a new man in her life and her loyalty to her family. The author, Emanuela Fernandes, is here to tell us more. Thank you for joining us today. It's a perfect fitting day because it's Valentine's Day and there's a little bit of romance and love and also a whole lot of inner debate on what is the right thing to do. So tell us more about the book and why you decided to write it.
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Well, the book in a nutshell is a story about a woman who goes through identity crisis. And it's identity crisis that comes after childbirth, after having a child. And it's definitely one of the happiest times in a woman's life. However, many of us don't talk about the fact that it also can be a very isolating experience. So I felt like it was a very good story there. So it was important for me to tell that story and to also put a bit of an escape in there, a bit of a fantasy in there. So it is a story in a nutshell of identity crisis and then also rediscovery of oneself.
So tell us about the main character in the book and describe more detail what she's going through.
So the main character's name is Sandrine, which also happens to be my daughter's name. So I wanted to pay tribute to her there as well. And she, as I said, suffers from identity crisis because all of a sudden she becomes a mom, and she's no longer necessarily that desired wife. She's no longer a career woman that she used to be, and she really feels very isolated, which I think that is something that a lot of women go through. As I said in your first question, in a response to that, it's something that a lot of women go through, and unfortunately we don't talk about that very often. Yes. We are expected to be that happy mother who is dedicated, who stays at home, and the truth is, as I said, it is joyful. However, there are so many aspects that we lose, right? Like our own life, connection to the outside world, connection to sometimes our spouse, sometimes to our friends, and that freedom that we used to love. So she is going through all of those things, but she also has a fantasy, a dream of becoming a flight attendant. Even though she is a published author, she's very successful, but it's very important for her to somehow fulfill that dream, and she feels that that's where her fulfillment lands. That's where her fulfillment lies. And that's where she will be able to rekindle that inspiration and maybe even romance with her husband. But what happens is she actually finds that fantasy in another man, and they connect on the levels that she did not think exist. So there is that sensuality, there is that erotica that happens between them, and she really has that inner struggle, inner turmoil, and she doesn't know how to really handle it because there is that loyalty to her family, but then there is also her and her femininity and her desires and her wish to be that woman that she feels with that other man who happens to be a pilot.
So that's where the title of The Stopover comes from. So in all these different stopovers, she has all these different experiences. And I guess what you're really saying is this book came from a place of understanding in your own self where you have a child and you understand that there is that isolation, and it's not always as easy and as positive as sometimes social media can make it look. So in essence, your book can be used as an escape for some people.
Well, it was important for me to pass on that message and to make the woman feel that, you know what, I am allowed to feel the way I feel. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the only one, because even though my friends will post on social media about mommy challenges and all of that stuff, but the truth is many of us do not feel as content as we're expected to feel, and we all feel that pressure to feel content and to be happy and to be the happy-go-lucky mommy who is, always on the go and still cooks the meals, because it's not always like that. You lose a little bit of yourself.
Where can people get a copy of your book, The Stopover?
Well, right now it's on Amazon.com and .ca, so I would love for people to check it out. They can purchase on Kindle as well as the paperback.
Very intriguing. Thanks so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you to all of our special guests for stopping by and to you at home for watching. I'm Denise Merrick, and we'll see you next time on Daytime.